Okay, welcome to this week's Wealth Creation Show. We're going to be talking today about wealth management and what that actually means. So, what is wealth management? How are you this morning, by the way, Richard?
I'm really good, Jim. How are you? Where are you even?
Spain is roasting over here. It is literally summertime in the middle of the night. That's the heat. It's about 20 degrees or something like that. Anyway, let me tell you what I heard a funny story the other day. It was Warren Buffett. And he was talking, and this lady came to him and says, "Look, Warren, I've got, I don't know what to do. I've got money to invest, and I've got, stuff to do." And he says, "Well, tell me your circumstances." He says, "Well, I've got this amount of money, I've got that amount of money, and then he says, "You got any credit card debt?" She went, yeah, I've got credit card debt. And he said to her, "Okay, so how much credit card debt do you have?" He says, 4,000. She says, $4,000. He says, "So what interest rate are you paying on the credit card debt?" She says, 18%. He says, "Geez," he says, 18%. That's a lot. That's a big interest rate. Maybe you should actually focus on paying that down first. Oh, I'm really sure about paying that down because I could maybe put my money in something. He says, "But if I was to get something like 18%, he said, I would take it straight away." So he says, the reality is, I'll pay a credit card bill. You could pay me 18%. And then she said, which was quite funny at the back end, she said, "My daughter's got money to invest as well." And he says, "So how much has she got?" He says, $4,000. He says, why do you not just take that money from your daughter and pay her the 18% then?
That totally makes sense. And a lot of people will have credit card debt in the background and just leave it running, but not actually realising that when it's sitting at that higher rate, that obviously...
You know yourself, the classic, what they do is they deliberately engineer it so you don't actually know it's that high an interest rate, and because it's just a monthly payment of maybe £100 or something like that.
That's 100 or 105.
Aye, but when you look at overall, it's a huge number in terms of price point at the end. So actually, I tell you what I did as well. I looked up the dictionary meaning of wealth. It's abundance. When you talk about wealth with respect to money, it means abundance of money and wealth creation. Focuses on making abundance a reality. For you and me, I mean, wealth can be defined as the sum of the total assets minus like property, like gold, like silver, like stocks, like mutual funds, after deducting any liabilities, any outstanding loans you've got as well, and that could be defined as wealth as well. But wealth is overall as well. It's health, isn't it? And there is intrinsic things that you can't really put a price on, and we call them intangible assets in accountancy.
Yeah, it's funny you say about the credit card. We spoke about credit cards and things as well, and having that kind of debt. We spoke about that a couple of weeks ago, Jim. And you said obviously you weren't a fan about. Do you know how people keep just moving it over the 0% zero? But really, you're basically just delaying the inevitable.
Kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
Basically kicking the can. Oh, funny enough, that's what the government's doing. They're just moving debt from one place to the other. It's like, well, let's inject 95 billion. It's like, well, I think the problem's just going to exacerbate even more later on. Let's do rent freezes. Let's do moratoriums on. Well, I think that's a failed housing policy. It's caused that as well.
Yeah.
It's coming back to haunt you. Anyway, let's talk about wealth. Anyway, let's get back to it and not get political. A couple of things I want to do. The obvious ones is property, silver, and gold. So I just want to explain to everybody how property has performed over the last 50 years compared to gold and silver. Now, there's benefits, and people will use different strategies. Let me just point out, we are not here to advise people on where to put their money. We're here to just tell them ideas about, what the facts are, and also maybe my own reflections of how I've done things. And you might ask me questions as well, Richard. We might get into a conversation about this. But that's all it is. We are not advisors. We're not here to advise people on what to do, but we're here to just point out the facts. Interestingly enough, I don't know what it was. I was walking along the beach the other day, as you do. And I came up with a fantastic formula. Now, it's pretty simplistic, but I tell you what, wealth to me equals effort multiplied by time divided by return, the return that you want. And to me, that's wealth. By the way, that's my copyright, by the way. Because I just popped out the air and I went, whoa, wealth, effort, multiply. Because I said effort plus time, and I thought, no, it's no plus. It's multiplied by time, isn't it? Because it compounds. And then divided by the retired return. So if you want 15%, it's divided by 0.15. And then that'll give you the true wealth you'll create as a result of your effort and time multiplied together.
Yeah.
So that was just what I came up with. Let me talk about it, and I'm going to share your screen. First of all, let's look at inflation, because this is important, because inflation erodes wealth. And I thought it was relevant to do this. So inflation in the last 50 years, let me take an example of here. Just say a pound. So a pound in the last 50 years, in 1972, we'll just take, or 1971 actually, because some of my numbers are 1971 to 2000. So it's 50 years there, yeah?
Okay.
So show amount, in today's money, that's 10.120%. So that to me is actually, in terms of the numbers, that's 4.8% inflation every single year. Now that doesn't sound much, but when you think about what you could have bought for a pound, now costs you £10.21, 50 years on. That's a big number. So we'll come back to that. Let's look at the price of gold. Now this is silver. So in 1971, we'll just see if we can catch it there. 1971, silver, or 72. Silver was round about the 1145 mark in terms of dollars.
Yeah.
See that? Now silver today is sitting round about I gave it the benefit of the doubt here. I actually went to the peak and I said $28.
Right.
Okay. So if you take 11, 20, and then $28 is the next one, that's 154% improvement. Now, if you type in 1120 in here, where would 1120 be today? It doesn't do that. We'll just do 11 then. Show amount. That should be 112.
Yeah.
So 112 is the number 50 years on with inflation, but it's only at 28.54. So it means silver's never outperformed inflation.
Right.
That's a great bet. It's mental, how people think silver's going to save them. So gold. Let's look at gold, 1972. So 1972, see if we can get it here. We're in here actually. So 1972, we'll take gold. It was round about 57 or thereabouts. We'll say, I think I got 67 when I was looking at numbers, because I was looking at the actual months. And today, gold is 1,814, but it was actually 1,689. But let's look at gold then in terms of that one. So if you've got 67 in today's money, that should be 683. Now, gold is actually 1,689 today. So it means gold has outperformed, but gold has gone up 2,420%. That's a big number.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just jump off of that now. And I'm going to show you another screen here. This is my spreadsheet in terms of the numbers. And I'm going to show you what and the price of property was at that time as well, 50 years ago. So let's look at these numbers. See if I can get that number here. I can't zoom in on this. For some reason, I can't see it. This spreadsheet, don't know why. It's not going to show. Anyway, take my word for it. You can actually look back historical records. So in 1972, the price of a property in Scotland on average was £4,275. In 1972, the UK was £5,645. Okay. Today, the same price of that property is now in Scotland. In the UK, it's 283,496. 283,496, and the other one is 187,517 pounds. That's me getting precise. So let's jump back to this calculator, and we'll plug in the price of a property, and we'll just use Scotland, for example. So Scotland, the price of a property was £4,275. So in today's money, right now, the price of property in Scotland now is £187,000. So if you take into account inflation, it should only be £43,000. So
It's
effectively,
well outperformed.
yeah, you're up 140 grand on your investment. Property has gone up in Scotland 4,286% in the last 50 years. And in the whole of the UK, it's gone up 4,922 in the last 50 years. Now, you tell me property isn't a good investment.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at in terms of where to put your money, where to invest, and for the long term, then
it's double gold. And you know what the other thing is as well? Property pays you while it goes up in value and rent.
Yeah,
gold
it's
doesn't.
having that. Yeah, it's having that cash flow during that time while it's appreciating in value. The property itself, you've also got that cash flow and income at the same time.
Now, we'll talk about strategies as well throughout this, but one of the most important things I have to point out as well, there is things like pension plans. There is also lifetime ISAs and cash ISAs and lifetime savings, which actually gives you greater tax advantage. There's also stocks and shares. There's also, we'll have to mention it, crypto.
I did put a wee bit in about crypto.
Invest in crypto, because crypto, as Buffett says, crypto is just basically something that's intrinsic. It's in your hand, and it's like, you have to then rely on somebody else thinking this thing here is worth more. Well, it's actually not even in your hand, because it's just a number. You have to think this intangible thing right in front of you is actually is worth more to someone else in their mind than it is actually in physical reality, because it's not physical reality at all. Whereas bricks and mortar is, gold is, silver is, something that's manufactured is as well. It's always there in front of you. So crypto, I'm not really so, but for the point of objectivity, I have to point that out.
Of course.
So, what is this? I mean, we talked about it. We've formulated a kind of top 10 for this, and the beginning of the top 10. What is the first one for you? You would recommend people do?
I think, Jim, and it's something that we talk about all the time, and we do it every day, and we do it on this show every week. And it's educate yourself. Educate yourself about money, educate yourself about investment, and obviously your mindset towards obviously how you educate yourself and how you learn and who you learn from as well.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, everybody has the ability to build a financial arc to survive and flourish in the future. I mean, Kiyosaki says that as well. Keith Cunningham says that as well.
Yeah.
But you must invest time in your financial education to build this arc with a solid foundation. If you want to build anything, you have to have this foundations right at the beginning. It's just similar to a house. You have to begin with the right foundations before you start. Here's a classic example of having the right foundations. When I was at school, I failed miserably in accountancy. And I put it down to the fact that I hadn't learned the core basics of debit and credit and liabilities and assets. And that's why then when I went on to learn more in accountancy, I had no idea what they were talking about. And yet, when I went to college, I came out the top accountancy student.
Yeah.
How is that possible? And I put it basically down to the fact that I learned the basic fundamentals.
But I think it's like anything, and if you're trying to do anything and you feel like you're maybe not succeeding, or you feel like you keep failing, then it's back to basics. Go back to the basics. Make sure you've got that mastered, and then it will allow you to prevail further down the line.
Yeah, but the first step in building wealth is nothing from nothing is to invest time and to be honest, money to a degree. You have to watch obviously when you put your money. I'll tell you what the degree is: money back guarantee people. People that are actually credible, have been around for a long time. That's probably where I would consider is the right step forward. Plus the fact they've got a track record, because there's maybe hundreds and thousands of people who have actually been successful as a result of what they do. So I wouldn't purport to actually being, what I call the charlatans, the gurus, or the fake gurus. But there's people out there that have a track record and know exactly what they're talking about. So it's becoming familiar with essential terms like income, expenses, net worth, return on investment, passive income. Income is never passive, by the way.
Yeah.
Every single person, it has royalties and, does things. I mean, I'm still no passive in terms of what I do, really. I could be less involved. But in order to get the right returns and get a better return, you would obviously want to be involved to a degree in order to influence your future.
I know you're not a big fan of that, and the word passive income, and I think it's better to concentrate on cash flow, I think, really.
And then people talk about financial independence. That's another one as well. But
Yeah.
what is financial independence? I mean, I could be financially independent because I'm maybe just earning £500 a month and I've managed to replace it.
Yeah, or financial freedom is the one that you hear a lot.
Financial freedom is the classic. Oh, I'm financially free. Sorry, where are you now? Oh, I'm on the dole. See what I mean? You can call yourself financially free and you're on the dole. Because really, you're getting money all the time and you're getting paid for it. So you're financially free. So you have to qualify that again and dig deeper and say, well, what do you mean by financial freedom? What do you mean by financial independent? You know, what is it to you, and why are you telling me this? And so why are you telling me, what does it mean to me? So I think it's all about reading books, listening to podcasts, interviews, take courses, follow financial education blogs and vlogs as well. I mean, that's why we do this right now.
Things like this, things like this that are free, they don't charge you for anything, but you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn from the people that have, like you say, Jim, listen to yourself. You've done a lot of it. You've learned a lot of the mistakes. You're passing on that knowledge. And there's lots more out there, not just us, obviously, but definitely learn to the right people and pick up the right things as you go.
I would say keep in mind as well that financial education, like every kind of education, must be a continuous activity. Never stop learning. An example of that is triathlon. So I did a triathlon yesterday. I wasn't as good as what I did before, and it's purposely because I've not done it for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I've swum every week, you know, but I've not really run for the last 4 months. I've not really been out on the bike for the last 4 months. So wasn't it any surprise that I wouldn't be as good as what I was 6 months ago? Because 6 months ago I was training all the time in order to get the result I wanted. So it's just like everything with your education. When you leave school, here's a public classic example. When I left school, and I then went for an interview, and they said, look, you know, we're going to give you some fractions to do just to test your knowledge and stuff like that. Now, this is 4 years down the line or 5 years down the line. I went for this after being at another job. I didn't need that. And they says, I'm going to give you something. And I go, that'll be easy. And then I started to recollect. It was like, right, okay, so a half plus a third. God, I forgot. How do you do that again? It's like, oh, and it really hit home for me. It's like, wait a minute, I was a master in arithmetic and mathematics at school, but when I came to do it then, God, I couldn't. I thought I could remember it all, but I'd forgotten all. I had to then go back to the basics and start again. So it's just like everything. Financial education and education for wealth and everything like that must be a continuous process and continuous improvement every single day in order to get that result. I make no bones about the fact that I listen to some people who are far more wealthy than me. Some people are more successful than me in different fields as well. And I can't highly recommend enough the Diary of a CEO, Steve Bartlett, on YouTube. It's an amazing show, and there's a huge amount of content on there that you can learn from people in any arena or any area you've been in or potentially might be entering as well. Even their skills are cross-pollinate with other industries as well. I mean, you know, I was a master at credit control when I was in manufacturing, and just so happens that was perfect for my buy-to-let business as well, to make sure everything was under control and make sure all the KPIs were right, the key performance indicators, to maximize my returns and my occupancy rate and also the margins as well I was getting. So these are all things that carry on with you throughout the process and in terms of what you're doing. So ensure you follow reputable blogs and provide genuine information and direct you to the resources from trusted and successful investors, business people, and financial advisors. This is key. If you need a financial advisor, you go to a qualified financial advisor. If you need information on how to build a successful business in a certain field, you go to that person and learn from that person. It's already done what you've done. There's loads of mentors out there, especially in Diary of a CEO, who are now a lot older than they are now, and they're more than happy to share their secrets and how they achieved what they achieved. And for some of them, it's not anything to do with a hidden agenda about making more money. It's purely for the fact that they want to leave some sort of mark on this earth and not just be a person that's forgotten. What do you think is the next thing that we should be doing here.
Yeah, well, to move on, it would be your income source and having a regular income source, which is your job, your normal day-to-day job. If you want to build wealth and you want to do property investment and build a portfolio of things, but you're still going to need a job to fund that and to save. And I mean, it is hard to build wealth from nothing without having a regular income source. And you always say that, Jim. We always say that. You know, that's why when you're building a portfolio, have an agent, have somebody looking after it all for you, so you could work as well, because you still need that other income stream.
You have to live and you have to survive. I thought in the early days, this is when I first started, I thought you had to give up everything you did and actually just concentrate on what you were doing. But then I realized with my mentors that I was dealing with, they said, no. You keep your full-time job and you earn your day-to-day living out of your full-time job. Your lifestyle is created by your side hustle, what you do outside of that. And this is what we're teaching you to do right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's important to still have that, because you don't really want to put yourself under pressure. I've got great admiration, and sometimes I'm a bit like, oh my God, that's daft. Of people that just go, I'm throwing caution to the wind and just going to go for it, and everybody's going, yeah, fantastic. And I'm like, you don't need to do that really. If you've got a full-time job, and you could still do what you're doing in your part-time, and just build it from there till it comes to a point where you can actually replace what you've got, or you could even survive on the income you've got from there. The last thing you want to do is give up your job to get another job.
Yeah.
What was the point? You may as well stay where you are. So it's building sustainable wealth in terms of where you are now. Probably a classic example of sustainable wealth is network marketing. Yeah, sustainable wealth, because network marketing is all built on everybody successful in the group in a small amount, and because you train and develop the whole group, you're rewarded higher for that reason. And anybody else can reach that level as well, because it's all to do with what they do and their effort they put in. That's why I come back to saying about wealth, about its effort. Yes, it's effort. It doesn't come easy. Multiplied by time, divided by return. Okay, so learn to ignore the people who promote get-rich-quick schemes that build wealth just working 3 hours a week. It's delusional. You're not going to build wealth working 3 hours a week. You're going to build wealth working 3 hours and taking that money and investing it in something that actually builds and compounds over time, like a pension, like a index-linked stock market FTSE 100 fund. Like something like that, it was going to build over time while you're still working your day-to-day job. Yeah, that can, work the extra 3 hours and make that money. We talked about last week about this guy about, instead of going to the pub on a Sunday night, he's going to work a night shift. And how that ended up.
It was a really good example of that, I have to say.
And over 20 years, he would save £104,000. But if he put it in an investment fund and actually got the tax back and increased over the next 10 years, it'd be worth £240,000 without saving money. So if you're not creating intrinsic value and earning income from that goods or service, it's truly impossible to build sustainable wealth. So wealth comes from creating value over the long term. I'll say that again, long term, not get rich quick. Easy come, easy go. And it's absolutely true in a nutshell. I've always stuck with that phrase in my mind, easy come, easy go. It doesn't happen overnight for people. It is long-term sustainable wealth built over, again, the long term. Okay, if you're a small business owner, continue to focus on creating more long-term value. All the wealth comes from added value with what you're doing. Brian Tracy actually talks about this self-development, which includes establishing a business model that can produce more, better, less expense, faster and easier than someone else, if that's the type of industry you're going into. The next one for me, create a budget. I touched on this on the Sunday night show about creating a budget and the process to do that. You have to create a budget and you have to stick to it. The thing I've done from the very beginning, I'm just taking my bank statement, I've broken it down, income coming in, where it's coming from, I've broken it down to outgoings going out, and I've got it into all the smaller, the wee detail, minute detail about food, clothes,
I've been doing it to my own lately, and it's
mortgage, community, council tax, car loan. Yeah, utilities and stuff like that. So you break everything down in your bank statement, follow your bank statement all the time. You might want to use cash for all the time, but if you're using cash to create, your spending, make sure you keep the receipts so you can then analyze that as well and see where you are spending things. One of the things to do as well, and when you're creating a budget and you're actually following a budget, is think about something when you're about to buy it. Do you really need it? Or is it you just want it? And if you really want to if you really want to have wealth in the future and build wealth over time, I would dare say that needs are essential and wants are just a way. So what you're doing is the wants you're trading and not taking the wants, and the wants will compound as well over wealth over time to get the result you're after, because you're investing that money you've not spent on that want to create that income overall and wealth.
So it's not the easiest thing to do either.
No.
Since we started doing this and we've done the cost of living crisis one and the budget and things, I've been analysing my own spending, and it's difficult. And you realise how much you actually spend that you really didn't need to. So
it's horrendous, eh?
So yeah, create a budget is really important, I think.
And take control of it. Income and expenditure, living with a proper budget. I mean, if you're living without a proper budget, you've got to say it's like sailing. It's like sailing in the wind without a compass. It's like just sailing without a compass. You don't have a clue where you're going. You've got nowhere. You've got no direction, and you're just drifting afloat and adrift. And you can guarantee that you'll get lost at the seas of financial hardship.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to most people. There's a 95% group in this world, and there's a 5% group. The 95% will always work for the 5%. Now, you could say that's wrong and that's not fair, but guess what? Life's not fair. There's a reality check for you. Yeah. You have to choose to take yourself out the 95% group and put yourself in the 5% group by your actions and your discipline and your processes. When I was in the 95% group, I just dreamed about the fact that, and the very fact I'd made a decision that this is what I was going to do, I automatically, even though I didn't have the money, I automatically fell into the 5% group, because you don't need to have the money to fall into the 5% group. It's a mindset shift.
Yeah.
In the 5% group, 4% are rich and 1% are wealthy. And we've talked about what the change of that is. And that is the key overall for the 95 and 5% group. The 95% will always exist. Don't be delusional about that. Don't get upset about that. Just realize, how can I get me and my family out of the 95% group, and how can we get into the 4% group and work out that over a period of time? What's the next one, Richard, you would say we would have to look at?
The insurance side of things, and having proper insurance on things is definitely an important thing.
So why do we talk about insurance? Let me explain, but don't over-insure, okay?
Yeah.
One of the
I think it's important to have the right insurance, but like you say, don't over-insure.
Now, to a degree, what I mean by insuring yourself, one of the things that I was always taught, and it was actually really good, it was late on in my career. It was Willie McCall, actually. He said, look, Jim, this was my managing director when I was at ESA Macintosh. He said, look, Jim, you have got, every single time you do something, maybe it was Laurie Hoskinson as well at Visa Rest Technical Ceramics. And these guys were both managing directors. So it shows you there, if I've got two people that are both managing directors telling me this, that you should insure for the downside. So it says every time you go into something, insure for the downside, make sure you're protected, because you'll always win on the upside anyway. And even though you don't get what you're meant to get, you'll have your downside insured, so it'll be protected. So that's what we mean by insure for the downside. Warren Buffett's a classic example of this. And he talks about investment strategies, and he talks about he sets at the bottom for his share price, this is the time to sell if it starts to go down on the share price. And everybody's like, what? And it's called a stop loss. In other words, stop losing. So they put a stop loss and say, if it drops to this share price, sell it. And everybody goes, why would you just wait and see if it goes back up? If it's dropped to that sale price, it's going down. And it's not coming back up for a long time yet. So this is where to stop your loss. If it's going up, this is where I want to exit, because he knows he's going to make an adequate return. He's not looking for the top of the market. That's where everybody goes, oh, I'm up to this. I'll maybe wait a wee bit longer and see if it goes up. And the next minute it goes down. And it's like, I missed it. This is like the addicted gambler. That's what happens. Just a wee bit more, just a wee bit more. Whereas he goes, no, this is where we're exiting. This is the right price and the right return. We're exiting. And so he has it's almost an insurance back process in terms of how he does things. So building wealth is good, but it will be excruciating if you lose your wealth to unforeseen circumstances and events. We're insured, for our mortgages. There's certain situations where I've looked at it and I've looked at the risk involved and I've looked at some of the mortgages and I've gone, okay, we need insurance for Elaine, we need insurance for myself for this amount, because if this happened in this scenario, these are two situations which are really high risk to us. So we would rather the mortgages were paid off in that instance. And that's the ones with huge capital gains on them. Because we would then have to find an alternative source of mortgage through a different process, because the mortgages are attached to our individual names. So that's another place that we do. However, don't over-insure. There are many insurance products out there that are basically useless. Stick to the ones that are, the health insurance plans as well. Just now the health insurance plans. Look at the situation with the NHS. There's people out there literally waiting to be diagnosed with cancer and stuff like that. And it's like, and I'm like, well, why are you knowing straight away?
They're on a waiting list.
They've got a waiting list. It's like, my God, these people are going to die potentially. Every second counts. And that's why you would potentially say to yourself, I would think I'm going to insure myself. And I'm going to have a health insurance plan, maybe just a basics in worst case scenario.
Just so you've got something, At
least you've got something. It is something, definitely something. And homeowner insurance, if your house burns down, you've got nothing left. And then you've got auto insurance, your car. People can't afford the hit for the car. And then the term life insurance, like we spoke about, for things like mortgages as well. There's no doubt about it. Buying insurance cannot change your life, but it prevents your life from being changed. Now, that's not me that said that. That's Jack Ma, which is the founder of Alibaba and richest man in China. He might know something.
I think he will.
You will not turn bankrupt because of buying insurance, but you will cause your loved ones to turn bankrupt if you don't.
And I think you need to think about, things are maybe fine while you're here, but anything could happen. And what would happen if you weren't here? Where are you going to leave the people that are obviously going to have to sort out things when you're away?
Absolutely. And a lot of people out there choose to ignore it and bury their head in the sand. Or what they do is they go, well, they'll be okay in some sort of way. All right, okay, thanks very much for just lumping that on them. While they're grieving for you as well at the same time. There's a nice way to part somebody and part company with them. And your family as well. So this is why we talk about it's important to have enough insurance for what you're doing. Practice, this is my one. Practice extreme savings for your income. And I mean extreme. While the 50, 30, 20 rule is a good place to start, you'll find if you can save a lot more and put a lot more effort in. Now, we'll talk about the 50, 30, 20. You live on 50, 30 is your taxes, you save 20% of your income and you put that in a fund. If you can do bigger right now, it'll compound. We've done loads of shows on compounding wealth over time to hit an astronomical number when you retire. Look at the example we showed last week. The guy, just for doing a night shift, because instead of being at the pub once a week and investing that over 10 years, he would make £104,000. 104. Who would like another £104,000 for working one night a week? Included. I'm no daft here. One night a week, £104,000 every night a week, and just saving that to the side. But then compounding with the tax advantages for your pension, and then the fund actually performing 67% more. Then you're basically turned your 104,000 into 240,000. So extreme savings, practice extreme savings from your income if you can. Once you're committed to building wealth, there'll be many items in your budget that you can reduce or cut. This is where it actually becomes important up here, because once you commit, you then start to look at your budget and you start to be more stricter with yourself and say, do I really need this?
You start to question, and you do. Do you know why?
Have you been going through that?
I have. I've been doing it, and it's I question everything now, and I've started to look at all my spending and like what I'm putting aside and what am I buying this for, what am I spending this on. Yeah.
Well, we talked about it in the past, didn't we? When you said to me, should I buy a bigger house? And I went, are you nuts?
I know.
And here's
so
the
that is not on the
bang,
cards
bang,
anymore.
bang,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And do you know what's taught me that is this show, Jim? I mean, obviously, we went through things for a lot of years, but this show it has taught me a lot of things, and it's got me doing. But all these things that we're talking about today.
I keep coming back to saying, Richard, I'm getting temporarily ambitious to be permanently lazy.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to be. You do not want to be what you want. I tell you what you want to do. I love doing what I do, and I do it all the time, and I will probably work till I die. And I'm happy with that. That's work to someone else. To me, it's freedom. Because I've got the choice whether I want to do that or not, and it's purely in my control. But I wouldn't have liked to get to 65 or 55 or where I'm, 55 where I am now, and think to myself, I don't have any option but to stay on this hamster wheel for the rest of my life because I can't get off it. That is literally, you may as well just put me 6 foot under now. Because literally that's what it is. You're dead from the neck up. From then on.
I mean, I have no doubt that you will probably work till you die, Jim, but you're doing that because you enjoy what you do, and it's your choice to do that, like you say. So that's the difference.
Yeah. So there are various ways on doing this, but really, it is probably another one I do is I put money, over about £1,000 away every single month. And folk are going, how on earth do you do that? It's because I've got all my costs under control. I live very frugally. I don't spend a lot of money. And folk go, well, you can't take it away. It's like, I'm not kidding. It's like I don't need these things. I don't want them. I don't see the point of having them. And I did post something the other day about cars and material possessions. People, I've now come to the conclusion that people will actually buy all these material possessions for the lack of something within them. Tony Robbins talks about all the time that, what are you trying to replace here, or who are you trying to impress? Because they're worthless. They're just depreciating assets, and they just disappear to nothing. They maybe make you feel good inside yourself about something, but why you need to feel good inside yourself about that? That's what you've got to explore. The reason
opens up a whole can of worms.
It does, and nobody wants to go there because it's Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Really, but that's deep down at a deeper level. It really does. You do have to question yourself. Why do I want this? Is it because somebody's programmed me earlier on in my life? About I need fast cars, I need big houses, I need Gucci, I need Prada, I need these shoes, all these different things. I need. And it's like, it should really just be a want. But advertising is pretty smart. They play on these emotions that you've got, and they deliberately design you to need these rather than actually want them.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to watch out for. So I would say practice extreme savings. If you can save as much as you can, make sure the saving is not a committed saving all the time, and it can be variable if you need it to be. The bank used to say to me all the time when I went for further lending, but what about that you've got there in that budget? It's going away out in your bank account. I said, that's completely variable. I can switch that off anytime I want and it won't affect anything. Oh, I never realised that. I says, I choose to put that money away all the time. And they went, oh, whenever, so what is it for? And I'm saying, oh, it's for a pension fund, or it's for a savings plan. I says, I don't need to save it, because no one else does, remember. So I can always take that back. So it's always there as a safety net for me as well, if anything changes in their life. If you've got two people with income coming in to a household and you both rely on each other, but you're only living off one income, wow, you've got a full income you could actually put aside for the future, or you have an option where in the future that person or you don't need to work again, ever. If you build that, so you could put that aside and build that over wealth, and then come to the point. Imagine if you put that income away for 2 years. That's financial freedom. Actually, that income, if you've got income to last you for 2 years without actually needing to work, that's financial freedom. That person would have financial freedom. just over in 2 years' time, just because the two of you only survive on one thing. And if anything happens to their ability to perform, then that protects them as well. Let's move on. Let's talk about building an emergency fund. Well, we just covered that, kind of.
I think it kind of ties in the emergency fund and savings, and I think the 50-30-20 thing is quite a good basis to start on if you want to save and build emergency fund and build savings. Yeah.
So now that you've learned about how to save as much money as possible in certain areas. Well, we could talk about saving. Just a quick example. Listen, instead of going out, you can cook at home. You can reduce your restaurant budget by using, filters on food delivery apps to take advantage of discounts. Everybody thinks it's like only a £5 here and £5 there, but you know how that compounds up.
Yeah, well,
you could buy one-off items, and you could then rent something because it becomes more affordable. A classic example is the wee Hyundai i1s, i10s or something like that. You know, they're all about 127 quid a month to rent. It's like, my God, a car for 127 quid a month. That's like, I'll have that. You look at a business
from A to B, and that's the important thing.
But look at a business as well. A business is paying more than that on just on one advert, one hit wonder, and yet they can have a brand new car leased for 127 quid a month, and actually it's tax deductible against expenses. It's a bean tin. It's a wrapper. That's it. It just advertises all the time for you. I realised that when I first started all these years ago. It's like, I'm no advertising in the East Fife Mail or the Fife Free Press or that, because that one advert is equivalent to my my monthly rental on my smart car.
Yeah.
1 week. So you're relying 1 week for somebody to see that one advert at that point in time, or you have a smart car that goes about continual advertising for yourself for the same price.
Look at our cars, Jim. Everybody sees our cars. Everybody's like, "Oh, I seen you the other day," and I'm like, "No, that wasn't me. That was somebody else." Or, do you know what I mean?
It's a no-brainer. So emergency funds. Make sure you put aside money for unexpected circumstances, things that might occur. Now, I'm not saying plan for the doom and gloom and the fall apart of the whole UK economy or the world economy, but just put away about emergency fund for maybe about 3 to 6 months expenses, not. I need to still go out for my nights out and I need to do this and that. No, just the bare bones. I've got to pay my council tax. I've got to pay my mortgage. I've got to pay my car loan. Things that you cannot get out of. They're stuck with you. This is why I talk about property investment. And I say, as long as the mortgage is paid, doesn't matter about anything else.
Yeah. That's
all you need to make sure. That doesn't mean to say you go and buy a house with just the mortgage is paid, by the way. I'm talking about, just in worst case scenario, as long as you know you're covering your mortgage and you've got a significant amount of income over that to reinvest in the property and look after the tenant, that's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah.
But you know your fallback position, your worst case scenario. So building an emergency fund is key. Probably the next one, more important for you, Richard?
Yeah, building on your skill set, yeah.
Why is it important for you to improve your skill set then?
Well, there is two ways to increase your savings and investments, and that's to lower your expenses, grow your income, and while many financial advisors focus on the former, the latter deserves the fair share of attention, and that is improving on your skill set. And if you're an employee, improve your skill set by taking professional courses, immersing yourself in continuous career developments, and improving your skills by listening to things like what we're doing today. And like you say, podcasts and reading books and things as well.
See the amount of people, Richard, that just look at this and think, it's just them talking. It's like they don't realise the information that we're giving away for free every single time. It just blows my, and I think if I had somebody at that time, I would have been, God, I would have been plugging myself into everything. It's like, I can't believe this access is available to everybody. But it's point of readiness. They don't understand. They run away and look at the shiny penny somewhere else and think that's the way I need to build wealth. When in actual fact, I'm telling you how so simple it is right in front of you right now. It's as simple as that. Trust me, it is as simple as that of what we're talking about right now. It doesn't need to be complicated. If you want to complicate it, be my guest. But it doesn't need to be. That's why you take so long, because you complicate it too much. So make it easy on yourself. If you're a small business owner, improve your understanding of the market, commit more resources to innovation, and provide more value to your customers. By doing this, you can increase your market share and even your revenue as well, because you're more valuable. Passive income ideas. Here we go. What do you think about passive income ideas?
Well, I think passive income ideas, in addition to increasing the income of your job and your business, you should explore various opportunities to earn passive income. And
Now,
passive income.
What we're talking about when we talk about passive income?
Well, I mean, like selling digital products, blogging, affiliated marketing, and just things like that. That obviously will be in addition to creating this passive income that will help you along in your journey. Yeah.
To be honest, Richard, as well, I mean, we could talk about passive income, but even doing a wee bit extra work outside of your normal day-to-day. Explore just other income ideas outside of your normal day-to-day. So it is, see, when you go and do the homers for people out there that are self-employed, when you go and do these homers, and let's be honest, the money goes in your pocket. For God's sake, didn't go on your holiday, go and invest it in something and look after your long-term future, your medium to long-term future, and look after your children's medium to long-term future as well. That may sound a bit preachy, but I tell you what, your kids are going to thank you for it. And you're going to thank yourself for it, because when your kids come to you and say, I'm going to go to university, you'll not be going, oh my God, where are we going to find the rent? It's like, you'll have to take a loan. All right, thanks, Dad. I'll just be saddled in £100,000 in debt for going to university. I mean, I'm using the extreme there, but I have seen people do that. There's people that talk about that on blogs and vlogs now in America. It's like they've got $100,000 in debt they've still got to pay off, and they're working in the fire services or they're working in the health service. And it's like, you've got no chance of ever paying that off. That's a millstone around somebody's neck for the rest of their life. So it's our opportunity now. This is the only time, this is the only generation which is going to allow our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren to break out of that cycle by the things that we do right now to make that happen. This is the one-time opportunity in our generation to do this. If you don't do it, what's going to happen is they'll be caught in a debt trap for the rest of their life. So now this is your opportunity to put aside some money for them for their future. So when they retire, they can put aside some money for their children as well, your grandchildren, for when they retire. So everybody is providing for everyone else. And you jump back straight away, and people will jump back and say, but that's what the government's doing. Do you really think the government's going to have any money left at the end of this? 95 billion to bail everybody out on utilities? We've got to be bailed out in utilities, listen to that, to the tune of 95 billion, because we can't afford our utilities when they go up in price. What does that tell you about the state of affairs at where we all are right now, that we've got to have aid, state aid of 95 billion to help us bail out ourselves, out our own lives, out our own financial circumstances? That should tell you everything you need to know and you need to learn right now in terms of exploring other income ideas to set you and your family free for generations to come.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting bit in this, Jim. Obviously, passive income is crucial for those of us learning how to build wealth from nothing. But this one, it was Warren Buffett actually, and it's like, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And that's exactly what you just...
Absolutely. I've said that all the time. I've been taught that by my mentors 30 years ago. You will work till you die. That is the reality, and it is producing income while you sleep. Income while you sleep is a pension. I can't reiterate that enough. And a pension for your children as well. Your children can get a pension from birth, and the tax man gives tax back for any contribution that you, as their parents and their grandparents as well, and their aunties and uncles, put into it. The tax man will contribute up to the lower rate. So if you put in £2,880, the tax man will top that up in the year to 3,600. Now, I'm not asking you to put 2,880 in, but whatever you put in, the tax man will add on the extra tax to it. If you put in 100 quid, the tax man will add the tax portion onto it, even though they're not earning, because they're allowing you on your earnings to actually get that tax benefit to your children or your grandchildren from birth. If they can put away money, I once heard for the first 18 years of a child's life from birth, If you put in the maximum amount for the first 18 years of 2,880 for the first 18 years and stop at 18 years old and never put anything else in again, they will be a multi-millionaire when they retire at 55. And all you put in is 2,880 for the first 55 years.
Yeah.
And that is equivalent to about £144,000. And they'll be a multi-millionaire when they retire.
That's crazy when you think of that.
Aye. And it's only small amounts every single year. It's over 55 years, remember. Don't think 140,000. I'll never do that, because I'll guarantee you, if you do small amounts every single time, you would not believe where you are later on. It's the 1 pence doubled up for 31 days or £5 million in your hand right now. 1 pence doubled up for 31 days is £11 million. Go and work out in a calculator. So embracing passive income is probably the next one I would talk about. To build wealth, you need to save and invest. If you have followed the above steps, you're now saving at least 20% of your income and earning more income through the other side hustles. It's all about side hustles. That's what it is. Now it's time to combine with the two and start seriously investing. Without exception, all of the millionaires that you know and admire built their fortunes through wise and profitable investments on the stock market and also on property. Every single time. You look at the top 100 richest people in Britain, and I used to look at it every single time in the Sunday Times. I don't get it anymore. I don't see the point. You know, it's like, all right, okay, I know what I know already, so I don't need them to tell me. But every single time I used to look at all these people in the top 100, and every single one of them said, yeah, maybe Tetra Pak plus property, retail plus property, manufacturing plus property. Every single time, more or less, every single person had their property as well alongside of what they do on their day. See the day-to-day and then the property? All alongside of what they're doing. Now you can talk about, people can talk about, oh, but property's going to collapse and all the rest of it. Oh, the future's bleak. It's like, what else have you got going for you that you wouldn't want to take that chance anyway?
Yeah.
Because guess what? You might become a millionaire. Frightening, isn't it? And genuinely, to a lot of people, it's fear of success. It stops them doing anything. It's not fear of failure. It's fear of success. Oh my God, I might be successful at this. It might work. What will I do next? Honestly, I used to say, let's put out 20,000 postcards through all the letterboxes to see if we can get people to value properties. It's like, oh my God, what if they all phone at once? It's like, they're not going to. You'd be lucky if you got about 30. If that, but just do 500 a day. And literally that's what transpired. It's like, because only 20 people make a decision every day in Fife to buy and sell a house. So why is all these people going to contact you all at once? Some believe it or not, actually kept them for years and then said, I'm coming back to you. All right, how did you know about me? I've got it on my fridge. Because I had things like the best number, the NHS number, the health service number, all these different numbers that would be brilliant for them. So that's what I had on my card, on the back of it. And that's why people kept it. So they phoned me when the time came. So embrace passive income, build wealth. If you don't make money to do the work, if you don't make your money do the work for you, you'll have to do the work instead. The problem is that your ability to earn money is limited, and you can't earn money while you sleep. Your hours are what dictate your money right now. So you want to try and get something, a side hustle. We're talking about side hustle again all the time. We'll maybe talk about that a lot more. It's nothing dodgy. It's the fact that it's a side hustle just outside of what you do to build wealth. But if investing your money in the market means that money is working for you and you're profiting from the labor of others, that's all it is. Guess what? Welcome to the world. That's what happens every single day. And we think, for some reason, that profit is a dirty word that you can't have. It's like, oh, you can't make profits. It's like, why no? Profits are needed to reinvest in your business and also in your economy and also in society and overall. So that's what I would say. So first way is turning your money into sustainable wealth. Put your money into a savings account. It's not an investment, really. Right? Okay, we'll just point that out. Second, timing the market is not a good strategy. You'll never get it right. I'll guarantee you. This is the Warren Buffett stop loss and sell. That's not a good strategy. You'll never get it right. So don't try to predict it. Third, embrace passive investing rather than active investing, especially when it comes to bulk savings. Why invest in Standard Life's pension for the UK equity funds who are invested in AstraZeneca, Pfizer, BAT Industries, Glencore, all these different top blue chip companies. Passive investments is cheaper, it's fewer fees and taxes, less risky because it's diversifying your portfolio, more transparent and more profitable in the long run as well. Finally, we talked about this, using a robo-advisor. Well, actually, what is a robo-advisor? What is a robo-advisor, to be honest? A robo-advisor, how do you create and manage your portfolio investments as it stands right now? Do you do it yourself? Well, when robo-advisors start investing, investors have to decide how to create their portfolios of stocks, whether it's EFTs, we've heard about EFTs, real estate investment trusts, that's property obviously, and how many they should buy and at what time. This is probably a classic example of robo-advisor is I put money away every single month to Standard Life. My kids do it as well, to the pension fund. And that pension fund ultimately invests in a certain UK equities, which has all these blue chip companies in it. We're not reinventing the wheel here. It's a tried and tested system. We get the tax back on it as well. And it works very, very, extremely well, actually. Extremely well. And that's the most simplistic model of a robo-advisor. There is people out there that do it themselves. They've got stop losses built into their system. And they look at all the different stocks and they've got plenty of time to do that. But the reality is the more you can automate that process, the better it is for you. So you have to make sure you also get your customized portfolio for you that will match your risk tolerance. I had talked about this, haven't I? UK equities is classed as a high risk category at investment risk 6, and yet the highest is 7 with Standard Life. I don't see UK equities as a real high risk investment strategy in the long run and long term, because it's always growing over time, and we demonstrated over 10 years it's grown 6%.
We looked at what was actually the companies that were invested in a couple of shows ago, Jim, and they didn't look high risk to me.
Absolutely. So I would say that's probably the best thing to do is invest in something, a system that does it for you, but make sure it's got a track record, make sure it's with a blue chip company. I mean, a real good blue chip like Standard Life, like Scottish Widows, like Prudential, somebody like that, somebody that's got, all these, you've got that track record of wealth creation. You have investment houses, you have wealth managers as well, who've been doing this for years and years and years. In terms of pensions and stuff like that, well, the one that I always talk about is Nini from One-to-One Financial Services. So he's a financial advisor. So financial advisor, it would be Ninian. If it was a mortgages, it would be Tessa Salimi from Freedom Financial in Dundee, because he knows everything there is to know about buy-to-let mortgages as well. What is your takeaways from here?
Takeaways for today, Jim, would be obviously educating yourself about money, getting a stable income, and earning passive income on the side, like we've said, side hustle type thing. Minimizing your expenses so you can save money. Saving money is so important, and how to do that properly. Protecting your money with insurance and emergency funds, like we spoke about. Passively investing your savings in stocks or in real estate, or obviously property, and then automating your investments and diversifying your portfolio with things like the robo-advisor, like we just spoke about, and using the right people.
You've been listening, my young Padawan. You know what my takeaways is? Look at gold has gone up by 2,420% in the last 50 years. And silver's gone up 154%. Crypto's done nothing, to be honest. It's a gamble. But property's gone up 4,922%. That's 5,000% almost. And people still tell you property is not a good investment. Oh my God. And that's not even taking into account the fact that you get paid while it goes up in value at the same time. Who are these people? They're probably broke and skint and they got having to work for the rest of their life. Until next week, guys, thanks very much for tuning in and listening to the show. If you've got any questions, please feel free to chip in in the comments there, or maybe ask us direct. You have access as well, just by sheerly watching this show. You can click on Richard's email address there and message him, and you can get included in there. Our monthly strategy
next Thursday,
which just talks about it's next Thursday, yeah, which just talks about in general where you are, where you want to be, and it's free. There's no upsell to this. Please just understand that I am not selling you anything. We are not selling you anything at all. We don't want anything from you. We just want you to be wealthy and successful and planned for your future. And it's bye-bye from me.
Bye, Jim. Bye, everyone.